All right, 17th time is a charm.
Craig's definitely having issues tonight.
No, don't blame Craig. Don't blame Craig. Listen, we blame Craig a lot. Craig, our orcish bard robot who records our podcast.
He's an unpaid intern.
He's an unpaid intern, but he's doing a fantastic job. The problem is his notepad, i.e. Discord in this case, is just not working at all. And that's not his fault. We have to put blame where blame is due. His tools were bad, but he pays for his own tools, so I guess really it is his fault.
Yep. Damn it, Craig. Anyway, let's get on with it. We're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, joined by my co-host Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
Motherfucker!
He's never going to say it right.
We've done this intro like 4 times tonight, and he still can't do it right.
He's doing it right every time. He's not going to do it the way you want it.
Yeah, that's true.
There we go.
All right. Your turn now, Chris.
All right. Well, hi, guys. Thank you for joining our podcast. Make sure to listen to us on YouTube at youtube.com/Grumpy Dungeon Masters. On Apple, you can find us on Spotify. Give us a like and a comment. Let us know if you hate us or if you like us. Whatever. Just engage with us. Ask us questions. Disagree with us. We're right, but you can still disagree with us.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Yeah. And join us on Facebook.com/Grumpy Dungeon Masters. We technically still on Twitter and Blue Sky, but I don't think I've ever posted there in like 2 years, so good luck with that. All right. So, on to real topics. Jay and I just came back from our LARP, and it was a great weekend. I'm not tired. I don't think Jay is, because we just kind of sat around all weekend because it was raining, and it was festival, so there was no monsters to fight. However, I did have the opportunity, as my high-level druid/fighter combo that I am, I got the opportunity to fight 100 gorillas. And I defeated every single one.
When did you get to do this?
It was when you left me, the group, and you left me with the armory, and I had to go to the Plain of Gorillas and fight 100 gorillas.
That time. Yeah, okay, I remember when.
So I fought by myself 100 gorillas, and I beat every single one. And that's been a question.
Let me just go and pause here real quick.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say here that LARPing is a silly time, and they went to a very silly place. You may continue.
Okay. So
accurate.
It is. So, but there's been a trend on the internet right now about, can one gorilla beat 100 people? And they're talking about just people, no weapons, just 100 normal, average people punching the gorilla and the gorilla punching back. And I have my opinions on it. I'll go through and get your guys' opinions, starting with Christian. Who would win?
I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah,
it's a gorilla.
Right. Dan?
Without any weapons, we can't hurt it. Gorilla.
Right. Dan?
You're saying 100 people?
100 people versus one gorilla.
But they're all, like, average people.
Yeah, you're average people. Fuck, make them MMA fighters. I still don't think it would matter.
Oh, you throw in people that actually have some sort of fighting skill. Yeah, they're going to win for sure.
You think so?
One gorilla is not gonna win against 100 people.
Okay.
I mean,
if they're just normal average people, does it win?
If you're kicking and punching, probably not. Those people are fucking running. But like I said, if you're trained in fighting, yeah, the gorilla doesn't stand a fucking chance. He's gonna kill a couple people for sure. But
right.
Like somebody's like, the joke of the Wookiees rip his arms off. Yeah, the gorillas rip somebody's motherfucking arms off. But yeah, I think that gorilla's going down. But here's the thing, though. It's a stupid fucking internet meme because it's gotta be the gorilla just by itself versus a bunch of people by themselves and their punches and kicks. Which are the people also fucking naked like the gorilla is? I mean, come on, people. The reason why people win is because they pick up a fucking rock or a stick or anything else because we have that intelligence to do so. So it's a stupid question in the first place. So yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
Jay, who wins? 100 people or one gorilla?
If you took 100 Brock Lesnar's, the pinnacle of human physicality, and put trained wrestlers, trained martial artists, and you had 100 Brock Lesnar's take on a single fully grown male gorilla, that gorilla is going to win 100% of the time because of the impossibility of actually hurting them. And the strength that a fucking gorilla has is so far beyond what a human is capable of. Now, this is assuming not a single weapon involved. If you take 100 Brock Lesnar's and they are allowed to use weapons, sticks, rocks, anything like that, changes completely.
Okay. I'm in agreement of Christian and Jay that I don't care how good the person is. Okay, I would say 100 Thors, the guy that played the mountain. I still think that gorilla wins. I think the gorilla would get bored killing the people well before it actually beat the 100 people, technically, but that's not the scenario that's provided. And this has been the internet discourse for like the past 2 weeks to a month. Okay,
I am glad I've completely missed this, but let me just throw one more in here because you guys clearly don't agree with me. Fucking teamwork, man. Sheer goddamn numbers. I'm sorry. Goddamn. It can be a fucking lion with claws, fucking murdering the shit out of people. Yeah, people are gonna fucking die, but that gorilla's going down.
Have you met people? Especially the people that think they can take a gorilla. Those people aren't going to work together. Those
now
people
100 Florida men versus one gorilla. The Florida men win.
Let's make it a more equally as stupid but realistic scenario. We're looking at the Coliseum. A bunch of fucking guys get thrown in there rather than to lions, but to a single fucking gorilla. There is no escape. Either you have to work as a team or you will fucking die. Are you going to work as a team? I sure as shit would.
Yeah. So
just some facts on gorillas, since this is what we're doing for whatever reason. I don't know why we're even talking about this.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I'm sure Chris has a reason. So
we'll get to it right after this J fact.
So
Go ahead.
Very quickly, AI overview. Male gorillas, silverbacks, are estimated to be between 4 to 9 times stronger than a trained human male. Easily able to lift over 800 pounds, and they have a bite estimated at 1,300 pounds, which is double that of a lion. So there you go.
Regardless of the situation, lots of people are dying, right?
Sure,
we can agree to that? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yes.
100%.
So I decided to basically put Chat GPT to the test, and I asked it to pull up the 2014 rules and run me the scenario of 100 commoners versus a single giant ape. And I have to tell you that I worked on that for an hour before I gave up because it's too fucking stupid. First off, it didn't factor in like ranged attacks, the 5% mischance from the gorilla, none of that. So I actually did the math myself. Okay. And with the 2014 rules, the gorilla will kill what is it? Just over 9 people before it succumbs to. Well, it kills 12 people before it succumbs to all the 100 commoners punching it every single round. Because a commoner has a 55% chance to hit, and it deals an average of 1 damage a hit. So the first round it does 53 damage. Second round it does 52, 50, 48, and it has 160-ish hit points. I used the 2024 rules. And the gorilla now has a boulder toss, which starts off with it throwing a boulder, does a spherical 5-foot radius damage, killing 9 commoners right out of the jump. And it kills 18.
It has a fucking giant attack now? What the fuck?
Yeah, it throws a giant boulder, which does like 24 damage in a 5-foot radius. So in the 2024 rules, the gorilla kills 18 commoners before the remaining 82 commoners kill it. So, in Dan's defense, D&D does factor in, and only 18 people die in this scenario, and it's just commoners.
More than 18 people are definitely dying in real life. But
Yeah.
again, this is a dumb fucking scenario, and I can't even believe that you're saying that this is something that's been on the internet for 2 weeks, and I've only just now heard it from your face.
Oh no, I've been hearing about it for about 2 weeks now.
This is by far the dumbest thing we've ever talked about.
Oh no, it
isn't. So then I was like, okay, Chat GPT,
it's up there.
Why don't you factor in how many rounds it would take for 100 commoners to kill a Tarask? Same scenario, 100 commoners versus 1 Tarask. I shit you not, it spit out some bullshit that the fucking 100 commoners kills a Tarask in the 12th round. I calculate it takes 4 rounds for the commoners to kill the gorilla. Chat GPT thought it happened in 2, and then it thought that a 100 commoners could kill a Tarask in 12 rounds. I'm sorry, the Tarask is not dying to commoners, period, end of story.
Doesn't it take a magic weapon to even hurt it?
Yeah, but I would factor that shit in. I was like, hey, what about the magic weapon needing to hit it? It's like, oh, I forgot about that. Let me factor that in. And then it started adding its regeneration to the damage the commoners are doing. I don't know. I hate ChatGPT.
Well, yeah, well, quit using it. None of us do.
Well, I like to do it to mock it and hate on it, but I just thought it was funny. So 0 commoners survive fighting a Tarask. 82 survive fighting the gorilla.
These are super important numbers. I'm glad we have them now. Well, let's move on to something a much better topic.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Nothing else happened of significance. Nothing else. No drama in the D&D world. The tabletop world.
What are we going to talk about? The UA or the Goodman Games?
Let's
roll some dice. 50-50 chance.
You know what? Let's go Goodman Games. Let's go that. Let's not give D&D the honor yet.
Christian, you lead us off because you're the most intimately familiar with this.
Okay, so I did do a lot of digging and stuff, but without going into it, at Goodman Games recently ran what they call, I think, Dungeon Con, which is basically them opening their warehouse where they store all their stuff and running a gaming convention out of that and allowing people to shop stuff at their warehouse. They definitely admit, like, hey, it was a great time, it was fun. We've definitely learned that we have no idea what we're doing when it comes to running our own conventions at a place that is not normally accustomed to housing like hundreds of people or whatever, however many people showed up there. But by all reports, good time. But at that convention, they announced that they are launching a Kickstarter to do another one of their series called Original Adventures Reimagined, like OAR. Reincarnated? Okay. Yeah. Original Adventures Reincarnated. And they are doing none other than the, for old school gamers, very famous, from the Judges Guild, the City-State of the Invincible Overlord.
Yeah, which I know you and Dan are rather familiar with.
I am familiar with it in that it was before my time, but it's something that I remember the people that when I first started out playing D&D, playing the Rules Cyclopedia and D&D 1E, I remember those old people that taught me how to play knowing about it and talking about it. I've never played in it or run it or anything, but I know what it is just as a piece of like the history of gaming. It was kind of the first big, exhaustively detailed city supplement and setting. So, and that was a creation of the original Judges Guild creator, Robert Bledsaw Sr. And so Goodman Games announced this. I did not know this at the time until after I started seeing all this kind of stuff pop up in regards to this. But apparently the Judges Guild, under the original founder's son, Robert Bledsaw Jr.
Yep, not to be confused with Senior.
Yeah, not to be confused.
The actual writer of the document.
He is the son of the actual writer of the product. He just when his father passed, he inherited the rights and ownership of the IP and the company from his father.
Yep.
They ran a Kickstarter in 2014 to do a Pathfinder and Judges Guild Universal, which is kind of their format for any old school kind of game, basically D&D, original D&D in games in a similar vein. But they were going to run a Pathfinder and D&D reprint of City State of the Invincible Overlord.
Now, this was the Judges Guild that did
This
that.
was the Judges Guild running this Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. I vaguely remember that happening, but I was so out of Pathfinder at the time, I just didn't.
I didn't know about it at all. I didn't. I just found out about it when I started to see the chatter of angry people after Goodman Games announced something, even though these two companies are not really associated beyond the licensing deal.
Yeah.
And they raised $85,000 out of their original, I think it was just a $10,000 goal to just reprint the existing. They weren't supposed to make, this is not like Goodman Games does, where they do this whole updated and add material and rework things and reimagine things
and release a 500-page book to you. Yeah.
Yes. They were just going to do the stat conversions to Pathfinder and really re-release the existing lore and product kind of pretty much unchanged, maybe a little edited and stuff, but really just the product. They were going to add in some of the also existing kind of supplements and other materials that details and talks about the kind of the environs and some of the settlements and adventure areas that are right around the city state of the Invincible Overlords. But those were also written in the 70s and already present. They weren't redoing any of this. They were just going to combine it together and convert some stats to Pathfinder.
Yep, that was in 2014. So
they did this in the beginning of 2014. They were supposed to deliver it in December of 2014 because it was literally just, and as they said in their Kickstarter, they weren't raising money for writing or anything. They were just raising money for printing, to print this and convert stats. And do new maps.
Sounds like a reasonably easy Kickstarter to pull off. The fucking material's already done.
Yeah, all of it's already written. They weren't trying to do the Goodman Games where they're trying to kind of put their own stamp on it. They were just trying to release the material that his father had already written with some stats for a new game system.
Yep. And how did that turn out?
Well, it is 2025. It is May of 2025, and they still have not delivered anything, with the exception of the cartographer who they hired to do the new maps, who they did not pay, has delivered the new maps to people by selling them on Drive-Thru RPG until he earned the royalties that he was supposed to get from them and shut that down. So still to this date, it is an undelivered product 11 years later.
Yeah. So in other words, the Judges Guild, I don't know how many other people were working with it, but definitely Robert Bledsaw Jr. would have been the one controlling this and kind of behind it. So $85,000 raised, no product delivered, people not paid, and the money gone. Who the fuck knows where?
Yeah.
So now let's move forward to 2025 and the current state of where Goodman Games is involved into this.
Yeah, so Goodman Games announces that they're going to do the thing that they do with their original, adventures reincarnated. You know that they are a fan of old school gaming. They have been for a long time. They partnered with Janelle Jacquez to do a lot of her cool stuff. While she was still alive. They did a lot of cool stuff with her to some of her.
Yeah, the Kickstarter for Kingdoms of Thracia, which
Lost Caverns of Thracia, that's coming out.
Yeah, sorry that. Yeah, I should have the physical. We should all have the physical copies here relatively soon.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. But they did announce at their DungeonCon that they showed off that they have gotten the copies at their warehouse. People that showed up were able to pick up their books.
Oh, sweet!
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, people that actually showed up were able to.
Closer than I imagined it was. Awesome.
So, but they did show off that they have the material in the warehouse. It's just a matter of kind of packing it up and separating it out into all the orders for people and making sure they get all the material of all the stuff you ordered and add-ons and packaged all up correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
but
good.
It's the warehouse and logistics part of it that's happening now. So
right, but within
I imagine a lot of people. Did anybody know what that Kickstarter for how much over that went?
I don't remember at this point.
I don't remember.
I want to say it broke $100,000. But you
Yeah,
can look it up.
I'll look it up.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, they announced this. They're big fans of this old material. There's the hoopla because of so the people that backed the original one from the Judges Guild are kind of like, hey, what about us? Even though this is a separate company that bears, let's be clear, they bear no responsibility on what the Judges Guild did. Zero. This had nothing to do with them. They don't owe anything to anyone. They just got some rights and were able to do their own version of it. Not Pathfinder. They're doing 5e and DCC.
Like they always do.
Always do. So,
brief interjection here. Caverns of Thracia was backed for 654,000 of the 10,000 originally needed to publish it. So.
Mad money. Good job.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is a great fucking job.
But there was a lot of controversy also because the current owner of the Judges Guild and the son of the founder of it has said some shenanigans and nonsense online and stuff that we don't need to get into. You can find it if you really are interested, but suffice it to say, it was enough that people were really worried that somebody had said some of the things that he was going to say had said was going to get money out of this deal.
Yeah.
So there was some concern over that by a lot of people. Joseph Goodman got on YouTube again to kind of address that and talk about, hey, just so you know, this is the way we're doing this. We didn't say all this, up front. Maybe some of it is a response to it. I don't know, the details. But he did say the way they're going to do it is they are going to take the money they earn from this, and they are going to, even though they don't owe this to anyone, they are going to repay the backers of the original Kickstarter from 2014 money based off of, they'll do percentage of it based off of how much they earn off of this Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, and they are very, very clear about it. Like for the project to generate $85K in royalty payments, it would have to break $850,000 for them to repay everything to these people. Yeah, 100% to these people who they do not owe a single cent to.
Yeah, they don't owe anything to these people, but it's pretty awesome that they're trying to do something to say, hey, we didn't have anything to do with that, but just the fact that you guys did this and you are also fans of the same thing that we're a fan of, we understand your pain of an unfulfilled thing. We'd like to try to make the fact that we're doing this sting a little bit less, and we're trying to do some good things with it. So you can look on both their website and their YouTube channel for Goodman Games to find the exact statement and the video that's even longer that goes into depth of it. But suffice it to say, it looks like they're trying to do right by as many people as they can with this and address the concerns of saying, hey, look, we're going to use the monies that would have been paid for royalties to try to do something good.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you could have made a better response, from this. So they're gonna.
There are so few companies, and I mean a minute amount of companies you would ever get something like that from.
No.
Yep. Yeah, they are.
Even if a bigger company like, let's say, WotC were to have bought the rights and everything like that, if and when they found out about the stuff that has come out about their creator's son, they would have just canceled the project and never mentioned it again.
Yep.
They wouldn't.
And you can
there
bet
nothing else, and that was it.
Even if they went on with it, you can bet they would not have bothered to try to give any sort of repayments to anyone from that original Kickstarter. They would have just been like, wasn't us. So sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you can. I think this is I think it's an upstanding response. They did as much as you can expect any company to do.
Yeah. So if you're looking for great role playing games and a really good company, check out Goodman Games. They do all the Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff that I talk about all the fucking time.
I agree.
It's amazing.
Interestingly enough,
good people, good games.
In the further deep dive, I know Christian did a bit of a deeper dive than I did in all this, but Goodman Games, I think you guys might have recalled both Waples and I lamenting the fact that we can't get a lot of these original adventures reincarnated.
Yep.
Because they're so expensive to get, because like Goodman Games, for whatever reason, didn't have them listed on their website. And after all this came out, after this new announcement, it did some research, and the reason why is they refused to give any royalties to the Judges Guild guy, the Bledsoe Jr.
Yep.
So they intentionally stopped printing what they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't even sell PDFs of it anymore.
Yeah, they've actually already said with this one that it's going to be a one and done print, to basically make sure he doesn't get any royalty money out of it. So
Yeah, and they're even going to limit. They said, should
Yeah.
they reach that lofty, 850,000 goal, like they're going to limit. They'll cut off the campaign at that part and be like, yep, no more people can buy this. That is the maximum number of people we're going to support because that would pay up everything, and we're not going to support paying any further royalties that as far as we can control to that.
Yeah.
So like we will cut a campaign short and say this is the end of this product.
yeah, I will I will 100% be backing this when it goes live.
Yeah. I bought a copy of this module or this setting off of eBay a couple of months back after Christian had mentioned it to me. And I was like, oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that at some point in time.
Mhm.
And what I had bought was basically just a reprint that was kind of a crappier version. I guess it was by Necromancer Games or something.
Yeah.
I don't know whoever ended up with it. But it's kind of a crappy reprint. And I started flipping through and was like, this is not good. Then just put it away. So I'm excited about actually seeing, because Goodman Games always does the right thing. They have the full reprint of the original, so you can see what that is. Then they interview original people that were involved in it, and then they find out people who were influenced by it. You'll probably have an interview with Joseph Goodman, people that work for him, and then you'll end up, with their conversion of it in 5e and DCC. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that this has been resolved, because I was not looking forward to not buying stuff from them whenever this was first announced. Like, oh no, they're not giving money to this guy, are they? So I'm happy for that.
Yep. Took about a day to get that answer.
Yep.
I mean,
like I said, Joseph Goodman is a stand-up guy from all accounts, from everything I can see, and their company just operates in a way that I wish that WotC would.
Yep.
Yeah, you really got to think at the end of the day too. Like, you can probably dig down to a lot of places and find a lot of bad shit that makes you not want to back a product. But there are people out there who just are doing it for the love of the craft, and you kind of have to appreciate that. And that's what Goodman's trying to do. And he's trying to be right by a lot of people. So it's worth it from that perspective.
I agree. Support the companies that do good stuff and put out good things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the Unearthed Arcana 2025 horror subclass.
Yeah, here we go.
Of which I have not had. I've had no chance to read this at all, so I'm along for the ride.
They already printed that though. It's right here. It's called Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
All right.
This is an update.
But here's the thing. That's the 2014. This is the 2024. And
I'm sure there's a lot that's changed.
All right. After we talk about this, I'll bring up one other small thing. But to their credit, there are a couple of new things in here. There are 2 brand new subclasses that were not in any previous edition.
I'm sure we're already going to hate one because I see it right there at the top.
Yeah, one of them is for the Artificer, which
Artificers!
If you love Artificers, you're going to be excited about, because even when the original Artificer basically got nothing new after they announced it.
Yeah.
So this is already kind of for the fans of Artificer, which I am not, and I don't think any of us here really are.
I will say this straight up. I am not a fan of Artificers, but I like this subclass.
But there are a lot of people that are fans of the Artificer subclass. Like, I do think it belongs in Eberron, and from that setting, it makes total sense.
Yeah, my issues with the Artificers, I've talked about them on here ad nauseum. It's not a problem with the Artificer; it's the problem with how the Artificer is implemented. I loved 3rd edition Artificers. Do not like 5th edition ones at all.
Christian, what was the equivalent of an Artificer in Pathfinder?
Oh gosh, the fucking Alchemist.
Yeah. Let's throw bombs at people.
I hated it because that was it. Jay's right.
Yeah,
there. It was just explosive.
It was explosive. It was also making magic items on the cheap, is what it was. But it was basically like, I don't know. It reminded me like It didn't remind me of tabletop. Whenever
Reminds you of World of Warcraft.
I never played that, but it reminded me of like, I don't know, Diablo or something like that. It was just weird.
Mhm.
It was like I'm just spawning flasks of force bombs and add mixtures of acid as well. Why not? It was weird. I mean, I'm not saying that. Which is what I'm saying is that Pathfinder is usually pretty good at implementing classes. Man, they dropped the ball later on with some of their classes.
I hated it so much.
Like also the summoner, I think, came in the same book.
I hated that one too.
Hey,
God,
would you like your combat stick twice as long? Here you go.
Yeah. Would you like your Pathfinder combat to take twice as long?
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Not to get too far off topic, because I could bitch about the Alchemist all day long.
We'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. I read through this several times. I marked it up, made some notes. So they start off, I'll say strong, because if you're a fan of artificers, you're going to probably like this subclass. It's a classic horror, sci-fi kind of trope thing, so it makes sense for that. It is the Reanimator.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen, Reanimator.
You're Dr. fucking Frankenstein.
It's Dr. Frankenstein, or literally Reanimator.
Or
I don't know if you guys have seen that cult classic.
I have many
horror
times
comedy.
seen it. Yes.
Which is fantastic.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's that. You get some spells, which are, things you would expect. False Lie, Spare the Dying. You get Witch Bolt, which makes more sense later on. You get a lot of kind of life, death, and lightning spells.
Which makes
your
perfect
third level
sense.
feature. Yeah, your third level. It makes sense when you think about the kind of classic, implementation of this kind of thing. Your third level feature is Jolt to Life. You can cast Spare the Dying, but when you cast Spare the Dying, it both has a range, and the person that you target actually just gets a hit point back, so they get back up. And then anyone around them has to make a spell save or take some lightning damage. You can do it.
So,
you can only do it a limited number.
So you didn't yell clear. Got it.
Yeah. You got the defibrillator pads out. And, you also at level 3 you get your reanimated companion. This is your Frankenstein's monster thing that you bring to life and obeys you. It is a undead, not a construct. It is actually an undead, a reanimated thing. It starts out small, which is a little weird to me. It's got stats here, and the neat thing is it explodes when it dies, and it has lightning absorption. So anytime it would take lightning damage, it heals instead, which is where your lightning spells.
Yeah, that's where your Witch Bolt matters. Yep.
Starting to make sense. You can cast a Witch Bolt on your thing. If you cast Spare the Dying and your thing is around it, takes some lightning damage, heals. You get Lightning Bolt, which you can now cast just through your creation at people to heal it and hurt enemies. So
I love it.
I
it actually
really
is a
like
pretty neat thing. At level 5, you get to make modifications to it. You get you get 2 different options. You can either choose to be able to cast spells through your creature, or you can give it it can make 2 attacks instead of 1 when it attacks.
Okay.
Level 9, you get some more options that you can enhance your creation with. You get bloated, where it becomes large or medium. And it also pushes away by 10 feet anytime it hits something. You get Gaunt, where it becomes its speed improves to 45 and it gets climb speed. So it can, and any creature that starts its turn within 10 feet of it has to make a save spell or get frightened.
I love the last one it might be able to get.
And the last one is it gets moist, which is just uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
It gets a swim speed, and whenever it's hit by a creature that is within 10 feet of it, that creature takes acid damage equal to your end modifier. Because it's all acidy and moist.
Yeah, you basically you get to pick one of these abilities, but I'd choose moist. Definitely choose moist.
Oh yeah, you've obviously got to choose moist.
You gotta choose moist, because anytime you have to say you're going to fight my moist creation, no one wants to fight that.
Well, you gotta be very specific. The level 9 stuff, and level 5 stuff is whenever you create one, and you can create your companion with a magic action.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need a long rest. You do it again, or spend the spell slot and do it again. So
you just have to think of it like summoning a creature. I mean,
it is like essentially like summoning a creature. Yeah, you create it with a magic action. If it dies, you can spend a spell slot to create it again. It's
So I really
the whole subclass is built around having this companion. So
I really want to see the scenario where my guy's too bloated. He can't really help us here. But if he was moist, he could help us a lot.
At level 15, you get the Promethean reanimation. You get several benefits here. You get Facilitate Revival. You get half-cost material components for Raise Dead and Revivify, which is kind of trash at level 15 when you're usually swimming in gold and resources.
Yeah.
You get Improved Companion. Your companion's Death Burst, the damage increases, and it ignores resistance, which is kind of cool. And you get life transfers, where you can siphon the magic of your companion to bolster yourself. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to drop your reanimated companion to 0 hit points, which causes it to explode, and then you regain hit points. You only regain hit points equal to your Artificer level, which is kind of weak at level 15.
Yeah, but it's also you're probably only going to do that life transfer if that attack is going to drop you.
Yeah, but it seems like at level 15, that's just
yeah, it's not great. Honestly, none of those 3 were very good.
The improved Death Burst and ignoring resistance to necrotic, because that's all the damage from your reanimation.
Right, but it's a whopping 4d6. Yeah.
Right, the improved part, but the fact that you ignore resistance is good, because that means that a lot of things that might start to take a lot less damage from your thing, you can actually affect pretty well.
Yeah, they're going to take 12 damage instead of 6. Big fucking whoopty at 15th level.
Well, if you're doing the thing where you attack twice, so because it's attacks, normal attacks also.
Well, no, the death burst is when it dies.
But it's not just the death burst that ignores resistance. All of necrotic damage dealt by your companion.
Oh, okay. I did not see that. Okay, that makes it better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means all of its attacks and its death burst, which is much better. So that's the reanimator. For an Art Advisor subclass, this is actually one I kind of think is kind of cool. I still don't like Art Advisors, but this is a pretty neat little companion subclass. It's on theme. It does the things that you would kind of expect. It's very focused on creating and doing stuff with your companion.
Yeah, I would never play it, but the theme is right. The level 3 Jolt to Life is. Has anyone ever actually cast Spare the Dying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. I've never seen it cast ever in the fucking 10 plus years I've been running 5e. So
it happens a lot in Adventures League.
But this would actually make it kind of worthwhile when instead of just you're at 0, you actually get back up on a cantrip. Just you're at 1 hit point.
Yeah.
For anyone that's down.
And it does damage.
It does damage to anything around that.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna stick through the Unearthed Arcana. I mean that because I guess at like level 10 you're doing a D4 plus 5 damage, bringing somebody back up to 1 hit point. I mean D&D is still D&D, whether it's 2014 or 2024. You can have 1 hit point and still be doing.
You can only modify your Spare the Dying that a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, which is probably way more than you'll ever need in a day.
Yeah, probably so. Unless you're just getting the shit kicked out of you
in a fight more than 6, 5, 4 times a day, you have done too much.
Yep.
Probably.
All right. Moving forward.
All right.
So
next
one is we're going back to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. This is an updated version of the Bard College of Spirits, which I always actually kind of liked.
Yeah, let's just talk about the changes on the ones that are already been made before.
Here's the big changes. One of the big issues with the College of Spirits, I like the theme of it, but one of the big issues was you would finish, I think the original way that your Spirits of Beyond, which was the kind of the cool feature of it, where you would roll your Bardic Inspiration die and get some random ability, is you would you would normally do that like when you finished a rest or something. You would figure out like which thing you got, and then that would be the one that you could use by spending bardic inspiration, and you would have to figure out like, how do I incorporate that thing that I got into any given situation. It was kind of an awkward thing.
All right.
So they've improved it now, is that you just kind of use it on an action, you roll your die, and then all of them, once you get what you figure out what you got, you can choose what target that's within 30 feet of you to use it on. So if you get an offensive thing, you pick an enemy. If you get you get a buff, you pick one of your allies. So it pretty much always has some sort of use with something you can do. You may not know exactly what it is until you roll it, but you'll either be able to do something annoying to your enemies or help one of your allies.
I love things with random tables, so this would kind of be up my alley.
Yeah, I do love that it's random, that you can't really control it. It's just you're opening yourself to the spirits and you're seeing which one turns up, and then once you figure it out, you go, okay, am I throwing this at one of the enemies or am I helping out one of my allies?
Yeah, and it looks like you'd roll a d12.
No, you roll your bardic inspiration die. Which
okay, so up to a d12. Yeah.
Yeah, you're eventually, when you get high enough level, your bardic inspiration does get to a d12. But at lower levels, you'll be limited to those lower level features.
Right. Okay, I haven't read through all these, but I am going to assume that the higher end ones are better.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. That's good. Good change.
That's a good change so far. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good change. One of the so that I like the change there. I like the way that the other third level feature is just kind of flavor text, so it's not really worth going over. Level 6, you get the cool thing. This is the newer thing: is once per turn, when you cast a bard spell that either deals damage or restores hit points, you just roll a d6 and add it to the damage or hit points healed.
Okay.
Nice little add-on for a bard. The cooler thing is you get spiritual manifestation. Is you always know spirit guardians.
I love that spell.
All right, I like it.
You can cast it once without using a spell slot. And
okay, that's in step with, like, I guess can't Rangers now cast Hunter's Mark without using a slot or something like that?
Yeah, they can't do that a certain number of times. It becomes the kind of thing, if you're getting a signature thing, you usually get one use of that signature thing without using a spell slot. You can use your spell slots for it, but also whenever you cast the spell, you can modify it. So the spirits also guard against worldly threats. When you do that, you and all of your allies within the spell get half cover.
What?
Okay. What's that?
Right.
Plus 2?
That's basically plus 2 AC for you and every ally within.
Everybody gets a shield that stacks with your shield.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
That's a really, you can only do that once every short or long rest. So
I don't know if that. Well, yeah, at level 6, I don't know if that's going to make it through the UA. But
it is probably strong. Not. All the cool stuff gets taken out.
Yeah, usually.
But that is only being able to do it once, maybe once a long rest might be better than every short rest.
Probably so, but still, that's
a very cool, unique modification of it. Cool stuff. And the level 14 ability is unchanged. It's just when you roll that, you're on that random table. You can roll twice and choose which one.
All right. Next one's the Cleric of the Grave Domain.
You get the Grave Domain, updated from the old Xanathar's book.
Yep. Which I think
Grave Domain was.
Go ahead.
To me, it always felt like it was going to be cool, but it never quite actually made it to being cool.
Yep. Me and Chris were talking about doing Baldur's Gate again here at some point using the new classes. I think wasn't Grave Domain one of the new ones?
It was.
Or Death Domain, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's Death, which is a separate domain.
Yeah, but I don't think there's much difference, just flavor.
Yeah. Anyway, what are the changes for this one?
So, they are taking advantage of that bloodied condition that you love, Jay.
Boo.
So
yeah.
Which Chris does love. Here's some 4th edition coming right back at you.
Hell yeah.
Cast a spell or hit with an attack roll, and deal damage to a bloodied creature, it takes an extra d4 necrotic damage. This is you pulling creatures that are close to death further into the grave, which I think is actually on theme for this kind of cleric.
Yeah.
People that are closer to death, you're more easily able to like pull into the grave. Sure. And then you get returned to life when you would normally roll one or more hit dice to restore hit points at 0 for a creature at 0 hit points. You don't roll and you use the highest number, so you maximize healing on anybody that's at 0.
Okay.
Yeah, just more things that we've talked about with the 5/5 of just more healing and more bonus hit points and.
Yep, that is. You get some Grave Domain spells, which are they're good. You get spells that are all pretty much on point and make sense for a kind of grave cleric.
Sure. Yep.
I don't feel like going over the whole list. There's no need. You get your Channel Divinity, which is Path to the Grave. This used to just suck.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made a good change, I hope, or at least a better one.
This is a good change. As a bonus action, you present your Holy Symbol, you Channel Divinity, you curse a creature within 30 feet of you until the start of your next turn. It has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. When an ally you see hits the curse target, you can end the curse early. No action required, so it's not a reaction. Just when any of your friends hit the curse thing, you can choose to end it, and it deals extra necrotic or radiant damage, your choice, equal to a D8 plus your cleric level.
Okay, so there's no save to this, correct?
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really freaking powerful. You just curse them, and they get disadvantage on saving throws.
Yep.
That's just too fucking good.
It is good. It is short-lived. It only starts at the start of your next turn, and it's an action. It is a bonus action to do it. So theoretically, you could bonus action and then cast a spell at a creature.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's just really potent.
Remember, it only happens once, though. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it's, a lot of times you may only need one turn.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you save that for the boss or the mini boss or whatever big thing you're going to fight for the day.
That's going to help you.
No, once per round.
It's still going to help you burn through legendary resist.
No, it's not just you. It has an advantage against yours. It has disadvantage against all saving throws until the start of your next turn. So if you got buddies that can do saving throw effects, they can all hit it with that, unless you've chosen to end it to deal that extra damage.
Yeah, and a competent party would do their best to set this person up to go early in the initiative. Let them get that off, and from that point forward, even if they don't go early in the initiative, doesn't matter. Just from that point forward, you use every ability you've got that's powerful that requires a save.
And you're just going to wait until the last person to deal damage or do something, and then go, okay, I end it once the last of your teammates does it, and then you'll bump up damage up on that last person's stuff. It's really strong.
Yeah, it is, and what's annoying though too is because of that disadvantage on saving throws, all the weapon masteries that make the DM roll a saving throw, now they're all at disadvantage. So hit it with that club over and over and over again. Now it's all at disadvantage to get knocked prone and pushed back, whatever. And it's just
on top of all the spells that it's going to take and everything else, that's really potent.
But the Warlord had this in 4th edition, something very similar, where it used its minor action to basically empower an ally to do bonus damage on their turn. So it's very similar to that. But it's yet another thing that you have to kind of remember and keep running. So,
Yep. It's a curse on an enemy. It's on one enemy. So 6th level, you get Sentinel at Death's Door. When you or a bloodied creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit with an attack, you can use a reaction to halve the damage.
Okay,
nice.
Right, makes sense. You can do it a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier. And then, as all clerics do, you jump from 6th level to not having any other subclass features until you hit 17th level, a level which no one plays.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
I hate those giant jumps because it feels
You
feels
don't
like
get anything. It's
you are
boring.
basically you've finished your subclass at 6th level.
Like I've argued they should add where you get something every level.
But either way, here we are at level 17, which you'll never play to, except maybe as a one-off thing. You get Divine Reaper, and you become a Harbinger of Death, and you get Enhanced Necromancy when you cast a level 5 or lower Necromancy spell that targets one creature or one of your Grave Domain spells. You can expend a use of your Channel Divinity to target a second creature within the spell's range.
Doesn't really matter because it's 17th level.
Yeah, at 17th level, it only applies to 5th and lower or one of your Grave Domain spells, but it's kind of cool to take a single target spell and do 2, but at 17th level, I don't know how much that matters or anyone would care.
Yep.
You also get Keeper of Souls when an enemy dies within 60 feet of you, or one creature you can see within 60 feet of you regains hit points. Oh, just when an enemy dies, you or a creature within 60 feet regains hit points equal to 3 times your cleric level. And you can use it once every short or long rest.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine, but it also doesn't matter at something level. It's kind of neat that if somebody is low, that you can kind of
that's a
hit points to somebody.
It's a sizable amount of hit points.
It's a fair chunk of hit points because at that level, that is actually a sizable amount of hit points.
And this one's actually good because it doesn't require reaction. It's just this happens.
Mm-hmm. So that's the Grave Cleric return. Definitely an improvement because the Grave Cleric was always something that sounded cool and you wanted to be cool, and it just wasn't.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
Man, I just realized how many subclasses.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Maybe we do 2 more and then save the rest for next week.
How about one more?
Sure, we can do one more.
Do the Shadow Sorcerer.
No, let's not skip around.
We'll do them in order.
This is the new one. This is a ranger. It is the Hollow Warden. This is you draw on the might of ancient. This is your folk horror ranger. Your old creepy Appalachian horror ranger.
Yeah.
I was thinking Bleach. Okay, read on.
No, yeah, this is Old Tales of Appalachia. This is some things some people making moonshine up in the mountains tell while they're sitting around the campfire. That's what this kind of Hollow Warden thing is. So you get some spells. I'm not going to go over the spells because it's kind of boring. This is where it gets weird. So level 3, they're playing straight into the Ranger's Reliance on Hunter's Mark, but at level 3, you get Ancient Armor. You get a bonus of AC equal to your Wisdom modifier whenever you have Hunter's Mark on a creature.
Oh.
Okay.
You also get Unnerving Aura. Whenever anyone starts when an enemy starts within 10 feet of you, it has to make a save against your spell save. On a failed save, it can take either an action or a bonus action, but not both.
And that's only valid when when you cast Hunter's Mark, you
cast Hunter's Mark.
Okay.
While you have Hunter's Mark, but for Rangers, that is their signature thing. They get a bunch of uses that don't. They always know it. They get a bunch of uses that don't require a spell slot.
I mean, this is the way they should be building hunters. It sounds like I won't say everything, but a lot of their abilities should sort of be based off of that.
Yeah, this gives you a reason to build wisdom as a ranger because you could give yourself you could become a tank really fast with this.
Yeah, if you're
going to be a weird twink master that's going to pick an origin feat, like, I don't know, one of the origin feats that gives you a spell and you say, I also picked the shield spell at first level.
Yeah, that was my other thought. So you're running around in medium armor. You could even be using a shield. Then you do ancient armor with the Hunter's Mark. And if you have you just put everything into wisdom at +4, or +3 or 4. I mean, you're
even
looking at
+3.
Yeah, and then you have the shield spell on top of that. I mean, you could potentially be running around as a fucking ranger with 22 AC pretty reasonably.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a melee tank.
at level
ranger
3.
build.
Yeah, level
no,
3.
it's a melee tank ranger build.
Yeah. So at level 7, you get Hungering Might. You get a bonus to Constitution saves equal to your Wisdom modifier. Really going to help you with maintaining concentration on that range mark, but also just going to be hard to fail con saves. In addition, once per turn, when a creature hits you with an attack roll, why are you transformed using Wrath of the Wild?
When you hit a creature.
Oh, when you hit, you regain hit points equal to a D10 plus your Wisdom modifier, provided you are bloodied. So if you've taken enough damage, you just start regaining hit points.
Yeah, every time you attack, if you're low in hit points, you're basically regenerating hit points.
Did I miss something? What is Wrath of the Wild?
Wrath of the Wild is their level 3 feature. It's when you cast Hunter's Mark. Anytime you cast Hunter's Mark, you transform. You just suddenly get a bonus to your AC equal to your Wisdom modifier, and everything near you has to make Wisdom saves or not be able to, or have to choose between actions and bonus actions.
Okay. Yeah, I can go and see what this build is going to be. Got it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're a ranger, you're always casting Hunter's Mark.
So far, this is a very good ranger.
It roots people in melee.
Yep.
It stops damage because of the bonus action thing. And then it basically makes it so you get bloody, you start healing up automatically.
Yep. At level 11, you get Rotten Violence. You get an Eerie Aura because you already needed more aura. When a creature fails to save against your Unnerving Aura from above, that's the one that makes it take an action or bonus action. It also takes necrotic, poison, or psychic damage, your choice, equal to your ranger level. That ignores resistance.
Wow.
I love that and hate that. I would fucking love it if it was necrotic or poison. It should not be psychic.
No, psychic makes sense for this.
Psychic makes sense for the horror, kind of you are a thing.
I understand that, but everybody will just always choose psychic because nothing fucking resists it.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, not always. Like if you're fighting constructs and shit like that.
But it doesn't matter because the damage ignores resistance, so it really is just story.
I know, but still. Anyway.
Yeah, but it does. If they're resistant to it, that's one thing. But if they're immune, that's a different thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a ranger you want to build some wisdom on because you want them to fail to save from that level 3 because that is just always active. Every time that thing is within 10 feet of you.
Yeah, and you don't really need the best con either.
Nope, because you're going to add...
You need to keep the Hunter's Mark active, though.
But at level 7, you're going to add your Wisdom modifier to con saves.
Oh, and you're absolutely picking up Warcaster with this one.
Yep, that's
also at level. Remember, at like level 10 or something, the Rangers get the ability where they cannot break their concentration on Hunter's Mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they eventually you don't even have to worry about that for Hunter's Mark, which is the only thing you care about with this Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and you kind of want to be bloodied too.
Yeah. And at the second part of level 11, not only do you now just deal damage to everything within 10 feet of you every time you fail a save, you get Strangling, which is when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon, you can activate the sap or slow weapon mastery property in addition to whatever property of the weapon you're using.
Oh, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be just too good of a class.
And
no, it's good. Leave it alone.
Let Rangers have something. They're terrible and they need something. This just might make them be able to be playable with the other classes.
Anyway, yeah, so the level 15 one.
Level 15, you get Ancient Endurance. You get Persistent Hunt if you drop to 0 hit points while you're transformed with Wrath of the Wild from your Hunter's Mark. You don't die, and you can expend a spell slot, a level 4 plus spell slot, no action required, and you said you get hit points equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot you expend.
Okay. I mean, there's already classes that are things that kind of do that, so that's fine.
Which is fine because this is not a ranger that cares about their spell slots because you're always going to be concentrating on Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
So you're not going to use them for anything else. So you're just going to pop up every time you would die. You're just going to check mark off a spell slot, pop back up, and keep going.
Yeah. The problem I see with that
again.
There seems to be there's no limitation on that other than the amount of spell slots you've got.
It has to be a level 4 plus spell slot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
For a ranger, that's a pretty good limitation because you don't have many of those.
That's true. That is true.
The other part of this is at level 15, you get Timeless, and you are immune to exhaustion.
I don't hate that.
at level 15, I think that's fine. That's
Yeah.
actually a cool capstone especially for a ranger, the kind of nature's champion, the things that's supposed to be able to like trek through the wilds. But that's actually a good capstone for once for a ranger.
Yeah. I don't hate that class by any means. It may
No.
be too powerful. That's one of them. I have the feeling that's one of them that those people who love to super twink build characters is going to start fucking around with and find this is the best combination for the Hollow Warden. You take a level of this and then that's
I
what's
could
going to
see
happen.
a lot of people saying, "Yeah, you take it at level 3, and then you just
and then you go
do other stuff,
barbarian, blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
or then you do monk, or then you do
Right.
cleric,
Get one
or
level of
something."
sorcerer, then 2 levels of fighter, and
But on the other hand, rangers are they just did not get any help in 2024. They're not great. They force you to focus on Hunter's Mark. So if you're going to be forced to be built around Hunter's Mark, this class at least makes it feel like it's worthwhile.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it may be, and I may be wrong. This might just be not broken. It just, from reading through without seeing it in action and really sitting it here
I would
pen to
say
paper on it.
as a just straight class, it's not broken.
Probably not.
You're probably still doing more damage as a barbarian or a champion or a fucking
Yeah.
any given other fighter. To be quite honest,
Biggest thing I see with this
Multi-classing is what breaks everything in D&D.
Yeah, I don't truthfully see this being a huge damage dealer. I think this is more of a just you don't want to die. This is what you play.
Yeah, this is your tank ranger, which is like there's never really been a tank ranger. Which I kind of like it. I would play this.
And what you got to think too is actually going back to the spells that it was given. It was given Wrathful Smite to fear everybody that it hits. Okay. As well as Spike Growth. So if it drops the Hunter's Mark, all right, it can still throw up Spike Growth, then all the people get away. So like you really can't run from this thing. This thing is going to keep you locked down to it most of the time.
Yeah, if Jason was where it was chasing after you, he's definitely this guy right here. He's not letting you fucking get away.
Yeah, especially if you pick especially if you're an elf and you can just Misty Step around.
Yeah. But that's the Hollow Warden. I think it's pretty decent for a ranger as far as a creepy
I like it.
Yeah, cool stuff.
I do like it a lot. I
like that it's new.
Yeah, I want to play it.
Yep.
Yeah, if I'm playing 2024, I would probably try this because even with like Tasha's version of the Ranger in 2014, our buddy Kevin ran a Spelljammer game and I tried playing it. Man, it was rough. Like it's a Spelljammer game, so there's guns and stuff, right? So we got the fighter with the gun, then he got me with the gun and a Hunter's Mark, and man, he just outdamaged the shit out of me every single round. And like we had a bard and a rogue, so skill monkey wasn't all that useful. So I'm just like, I'm just a redundant character. I ended up being like the backup healer because I had cure light wounds and good berries. It was just like, yeah, I understand now why people don't like playing rangers.
That is kind of what the rangers feel like a lot of times. You are the backup rogue or backup fighter or backup healer, but you're never the primary. You're just everyone's backup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rogues kind of do suffer from that as well.
What sucks about 5e 2024 is that they nerfed sharpshooter. I mean, admittedly, they should have.
Yep.
Because it was ridiculous. You're blasting hand crossbows for 20 points of damage in the first round of combat, and just doing multiple attacks, and it gets out of hand very quickly because of course you have if you're an archer, you have the archery ability. It gives you an extra +2 to hit, so you're still probably hitting most things almost every round. But like that's all you did. You just shoot stuff. That was your thing. But yeah, in 2025, like they completely reduced sharpshooter, and what was the other one that everyone always took? The equivalent of power attack, Great Weapon Master.
Yeah.
Yeah, Great Weapon Master. So like which, admittedly, I can't blame the barbarian with a great axe for taking that, or the archer, ranger, fighter for taking sharpshooters. Those are the best abilities to get, but they fell into like the kind of the same trap of 3.5 and Pathfinder of, you have to have power attack if you're playing a fighter. You absolutely have to. There's no other way to play this character unless you have power attack.
Right. Yep.
And it's just, yeah, I hate it. I hate it that if you're going to play a melee character, there's a certain feat that you always have to get, and I don't really see that with this character, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And since I guess Archer Ranger kind of blows now in 5e 2025, this is a good fill-in because the other subclasses that came out with were like, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they are. So this does bring up an interesting point for me that I wanted to make. I know we still have subclasses to go over, but we'll do that next time.
Yeah,
but just
we'll
as
save
kind of
these
an
for next
addendum
week.
to this real quick. In combination with the Goodman Games thing, Goodman Games is redoing City State Invincible Overlord. A lot of these subclasses are just updates from things that have existed in the different 2014 books. But the coolest ones from both these subclasses were the two new ones, not the revamps. It was two new things, and I saw somebody else mention it amidst all the bitching about City State Invincible. Someone was mentioned, hey, Goodman Games has a lot of really good writers. They make awesome adventures. Why don't they just write their own brand new big city supplement thing set in one of their already existing worlds? And so that kind of got me thinking of okay, with this stuff, we're revamping this, we're redoing nostalgia books from the 70s. Would it not be better just to build brand new things? Do we need to revisit all the old subclasses that existed in 2014, or should they just make new ones and leave those in the past? Should we bring back City State the Invincible Overlord, or should Goodman Games just write their own really weird dungeon crawl classics city state that for you to adventure in?
I do have a comment on that. So essentially, there is something to say about preserving the old material in new ways. So I like the fact that they're reprinting these older modules, and they're not really betting their company against it. They're not trying to make money off of it. They're trying to basically get the best products out there, out to the people. And you can always, argue if they're the best products or not. But that City State book has a lot of history behind it, and a lot of historical authors wrote it. So it's worth bringing that forward. It's also very nostalgic as well, too, for a lot of people. So I think it's worth it overall. When it comes to the subclasses, I think it's a different fruit. You kind of need some of these iconic subclasses to come back, but at the same time, you need a lot of good new ones as well, too. And I don't think in D&D's case, because the systems are so similar, and I've been running a table now for a couple months that I've been using 2014 and 2024 at the same time, I can confidently say I don't think you need any of the old subclasses reprinted. Just run the 2014 versions of them.
I was going to say, are any of these, there might be some other ones they've brought back, but are any of these in the horror ones really iconic D&D subclasses?
No. Well, probably the Grave Domain for the cleric.
Okay. I guess having a grave/death kind of domain is pretty iconic.
I knew a lot of people that played bards, so they all chose College of Spirits.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think D&D needs it, right? It's not like an iconic thing.
No.
I don't think the Shadow Sorcerer absolutely is.
Yeah, sure. Shadow Sorcerer's pretty. Okay. But I would put that in the Forgotten Realms one though.
Here, you know what's missing here? A Necromancer Wizard.
Yeah.
Is there not one in the base book?
No, but I figured really? I'm not surprised they didn't release it with that. I have the feeling because there were four for the quote subclasses for wizard that were left out of the main player's handbook. They're probably just going to release all four of those at the same time in some other book.
I'm afraid they're going to do
Player's Handbook 2. Yeah, there we go, Chris.
Yeah, that was my thoughts on it also. But
what is
iconic? Like in the Forgotten Realms UA previously, the Blade Singer love it or hate it, is something from old school second edition Forgotten Realms that's been around for a while, and that's kind of an iconic subclass or class.
Yeah, the Hexblade Warlock is in this UA as well. Which,
we'll get there. I
Yeah.
have things to say.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about any of that today, but that's another one that people would just
But yeah, I think there's
rage about if it wasn't reprinted. So
yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a point to preserve history. Like, I don't think these things are necessarily in opposition. Like, it's not a zero-sum thing. You can either preserve history, you can make new, but you can't do both. But
I just want to say the Hexblade is only in here because of Baldur's Gate 3.
That's not true. But there is a thing to say where if you have limited resources and you can only do a certain amount, like, is it preserving the past, is valuable. As a lover of history, for my entire life, somebody that went to school for history. That's what I studied. That was my college course. I'm always down for the preservation of history, but at the same time, in games and this kind of thing, like, you can reprint the same old stuff, but at some point you need creativity. You need new things. You need to push forward and, kind of let the past be the past.
here's
you know what? I agree with you, especially when it comes to WotC trying to remake the past, because I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. They shit the bed with Spelljammer. They shit the bed with Planescape. They double shit the bed with fucking Dragonlance.
Yep.
Like, holy shit! Quit trying to remake the past because you guys fucking suck at it.
But they did really good with Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, and what's funny is that was like one of the first modules to come out. Like, there was like Descent into Avernus, and there's whatever one other
right.
one.
Yeah, it came out in like 2015
that
or
was
16.
Yeah, that was the one thing. But here's the thing, though. I mean, Curse of Strahd was great. That was the best way to do an old school module and expand upon it and put your own finishing touches on it, because it would still have the feel of the original module, but it still felt like 5e D&D when you're playing it, but also with the nostalgia of the original. However, they didn't need to make Van Ryken's guide, because you know what kind of sucked when TSR tried to expand Ravenloft into multiple domains of dread, because you know what that was? That sucked. That wasn't great. I mean, they made so many dumbass domains of dread, like everybody had their own special place to go hang out as a villain. And most of those books are not good. I have a lot of them because I wanted to use them as source material, and I just kind of gave up reading them.
I can't speak on the second edition domains or anything because I've never seen those books, but the third edition Domains of Dread is fucking fantastic, as well as Van Richten's from 5e. Those are both really good books.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, so I've never met anybody that has run anything in Ravenloft in 5e, or even read about them online, run anything in Ravenloft in 5e or other Domains of Dread, using Van Ryken's. Like, people, Van Ryken's guide might have had some cool stuff for horror. Like, I agree. Like, some of the horror subclasses are awesome.
Some of those domains made me.
Some of the domains are awesome too. It's just one of those things, like, the campaign setting's not there. Like, if you're using your own Victorian horror game, awesome. That's cool. I like it.
It gives you enough information about the domains that you can build and run your own campaign set specifically in those domains. It's very kind of an old school take of, it's not going to give you too much information. It's giving you enough to build off of. And that's the kind of stuff I personally love. I don't need a huge, 35 pages of this is the town, this is the city, these are the NPCs. I don't need that. I'll do that myself. Just give me the feel and I can operate from there.
No, I thought
you were few and far between in that take. Like,
see, I liked Van Richten's a lot.
But what I'm saying though is that it wasn't necessary.
They didn't have to release it. No, it wasn't necessary.
You could have included horror subclasses in Tasha's. Like,
no, the reason why they published Van Richten's is because they wanted to change up how the Planescape worked. Not the Planescape, but how the Domains of Dread worked in 5e to match how the Fey domains also worked, and kind of set a hard bind with that, because they failed to do that with Witchlight. So they were like, okay, we have to come out here, put a whole book out that's basically how the domains work. Because you still have to buy that supplement off of fucking DM's Guild to understand how the Fey domains work, which is kind of bullshit. So I do like Van Richten's. I have a lot of copies of it. When I have someone who's really getting into it and they buy a lot of stuff, I give them a copy of that book. Be like, here's all the horror stuff you need if you like horror, you know. So I do like that book a lot.
At the same time, this is why part of why I get into this. Like I've said before, off this podcast, but I've bought stuff for nostalgia before. I bought the new Planescape stuff purely off nostalgia, and because the collector's edition version had new Tony DiTerlizzi art, which I love as an artist.
Yep.
But after reading through that and comparing it to the 2E box set, original Planescape box set, only that, not all the expansion stuff that added all to it, I still prefer the second edition box set of Planescape. It's a better book. And thinking of that made me go, you know what? I don't ever want WotC to revisit Dark Sun, for example. I'd rather they just stay away from it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like with what they have done with everything else that they tried to do, it was basically just kind of towards the end of 5e 2014. It's like, oh, by the way, here's some campaign studying stuff that you guys really could have used back at the very beginning of 2014. Also, 2024 is coming out, guys.
Spelljammer had a distinct lack of spell jamming or any way to do it or talk about running ships or spell jamming and fighting in the aether. Nothing right there. Planescape was about, like, there was some neat stuff there. It kind of picked up where Faction War, the end of 2E Planescape, left off, and I did appreciate that. The link ups to that and their overview of the City of Doors was okay. But the rest of it was just bland, man. And I still would rather just have the old 2E stuff. When I run our Shadow Dark game in Planescape, I'm running it based off the old 2E stuff largely. Because I have that stuff and it's just better.
Yeah, we don't talk about the 5e Dragonlance on here.
Oh,
we don't talk about the 5e Dragonlance.
So that's why, I look at it. If they're going to make new settings, I don't want them to go back to Dragonlance or Dark Sun or Planescape. I would love to see them make something new, man. Give me a new setting. Don't go back to Ravenloft for 2024. Give us something new. Eberron is kind of okay. That's a newer setting. But
I agree. Like, I recall, I'm old enough to remember whenever the contest was for creating the new campaign setting for 3E or 3.5, and whenever what's his face won the for Eberron.
Yep.
And I was never into Eberron. I never played in Eberron. I'm sure it's a great setting. I've heard great things about it. The art looks fantastic. There's a lot of cool concepts that came out of it. But yeah, I agree. Do something fucking new. Like, get some new blood in there. Like, I mean, they basically have nothing but new blood in there anyway because all the old guards fucking quit. Yeah. And what's the next book that's coming out that somebody's going to slash quit afterwards? Waypulse.
Was it James? Oh, I can't remember his name.
James Hake?
No. He doesn't work. He's still a contractor.
James Wyatt.
James Wyatt. Yeah, James Wyatt helped write the original Eberron. I think he's gonna. My guess is, and this is a shot in the dark with no evidence whatsoever. No.
Hold him accountable, everyone, if he's wrong.
Yeah, hold me accountable if I'm wrong. But I guarantee you, he's gonna make sure Eberron gets published, and he's gonna dip.
All right. Well, we'll find out. Take betting odds on that. But yeah, Eberron, I've read a hell of a lot of it. Never read the novels, but I've read the books themselves, and it's a really cool setting. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. So it does not feel like other D&D settings. It's very unique in itself, and I would love to see Hasbro actually release a brand new setting, but that's not likely to happen because they.
What are you talking about? They're releasing Shadow War as a full unique setting.
Yeah, which is already a Magic the Gathering setting that other people have already done all the work on.
20 years ago. Great job, boys.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they survive off of the current IPs that they already have. They don't need to make anything new because they are the big dog in the yard. They have the Dungeons and Dragons brand. which means you don't have to be creative. You just have to keep releasing the same shit.
And I will say that, like, if I was a young player and I've heard of, like, old farts like us talk about Dark Sun and playing Planescape and Greyhawk and stuff like that, I would kind of be a little bit butthurt if there wasn't a way for me to play in the Greyhawk setting or play in Dark Sun without like digging up on DM's Guild a PDF that's 30 years old and trying to convert shit myself.
Yeah.
I guess I can see it from that perspective, but for me, like, you're not attracting me by doing really half-assed jobs of recreating something. I don't know. Yeah, you guys know how I feel about it. Yeah.
Those new players, I'm sure, would love to be in on the ground floor of the next new D&D campaign setting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where you create something brand new and they get to jump in this and be part of the conversation. And like, man, I would love for them to create something new that was actually good, that they just gave the creative people the freedom to like do something brand new and do something they were passionate about, instead of just like, hey, what's something we haven't done in a while that we think can make some money.
Yep. And they do release modules or campaign modules that are new, like the Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and but they're still just sort of settings that kind of already exist. So it's not really doing anything new, and they're definitely shutting down a lot of creativity for the creators in those things. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight had certain hard things that it had to require when they put that thing together. So
yeah. I wonder if Perkins and Crawford left because they were part of the team that forced 5.2 to go into Creative Commons, and because of that, Keshnar and a couple other settings that are coming out that are 5e related can run.
Well, I mentioned before that I think there were people talking about it, that Mike Merles and other people hinting that Crawford and Perkins had kind of wanted to leave before, and I guess they got convinced or talked just to kind of see through the 50th anniversary and the new books before they left.
Yeah, we've talked about it on here.
Convinced that they probably got paid a significant amount of money to say, look, we'll give you this bonus or whatever if you just get through this.
Yeah, I wonder.
I can't blame them. Get your bag, take your money.
Yeah, take the money and run, boys. You guys weren't the problem. I think everyone understands that.
Yeah. No, they definitely weren't. I wonder if them, after their NDA and everything's up, they'll hook up with Merles and
go on a podcast and talk some trash.
No. I mean, because I'm sure they made decent money and everything. They're very, very, very well known within the industry. There's no reason those three couldn't hook up and put together a team and make something fucking amazing.
You mean something new?
Yeah. Something new that's theirs. Without high overlords telling them they can't do this.
I mean, Bonnie Cook did it, and he's been successful at it. So I don't see any reason why they couldn't do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So we're getting near the end here.
We've been near the end for a while.
I know. I'm not going to talk about anything major tonight, but I do want to mention very quickly, Dan. So that Against the Dark Master. Oh my God, I am fucking in, dude. I have. So I'm not talking about it tonight because I haven't even finished reading through this thing, but I'm absorbing it. It's another role-playing game called Against the Dark Master. It's percentile based, amazing artwork, and everything about this game is right up my fucking alley.
Yeah. I have not had a chance to read it, but I did skim through it and look through the art, and the art is solid. I definitely need to delve into it a little deeper. I don't know. I mean, I already know what games I'm playing next, so it's on the back burner, and I definitely did the what is it where you was a donation thing that I got it from
Bundle of Holding.
Bundle of Holding, yeah, because I did some Menagerie Press Bundle of Holding stuff for Shadow Dark, and like having to see this art and like this cover was clearly just kind of an homage to an old school Rollmaster Second Edition cover. I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that font, and clicked around. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And yeah, and delved a little deeper. I'm like, okay, I've got to back this thing, and
Yeah, I will absolutely, I'll absolutely be picking up the handbook and what other material
Yeah,
around
that's
this thing,
great.
but
Yeah.
it's so good. It's kind of it's your description of it being a Rollmaster light is pretty accurate from what I can tell.
Yeah,
But
the player's handbook is hefty. It's still like 500 pages or something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not. You don't have to use even half of that. Like the quick start guide, the quick start just to get started with some, including the characters, like 20 pages.
Oh, they tell you constantly as you're going through this thing. This is another way you could do it. This is not actually the rules, and
which is also just harkens back to the days of Rollmaster, where like the original rules of Rollmaster are actually lighter than D&D, even old school D&D. Like seriously, like all of character law and the arms law and spell law. I mean,
it's all supplemental.
The player's handbook and the DMG, but all the additional stuff that made it complicated, but it just gave you more choices. It was like each companion that came with Rollmaster was like Unearthed Arcana, and for those that are more modern gamers,
explain movement and Rollmaster.
Everybody can move a base of 50 feet per round, then plus your quickness bonus. So if you're a really fast character, you can move 75 feet per round. If you're a slow character, probably 50 to 60 feet around.
But how do you go about that movement in a round?
Well, are you using action points or not?
There we go.
So anyway, but yeah, this whole system, it's percentile based. It's very, very easy to understand. But so I have an absolute love for all the OSR stuff right now. But the biggest issue I have with the OSR is when it comes to characters, it's still kind of hard limitations. It tries to make characters very, very simple, no matter which game it is. Shadow Dark, DCC, they're all very, very simple characters, and it does focus heavily on the role play, which is fucking great. But I'm also one of those guys who loves a system for creating cool ass characters from the ground up, and this delves much more deep into that. It's got skills, it's got all the different things to it that is right up my alley.
Yeah, if you're looking for skills and stuff like that, this looks like a lighter take on Rollmaster.
Yep. But I'll delve much more heavy to it sometime in the next few weeks after I've read through it. But
yeah, I'm interested in it. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anybody else have anything?
No, we've gone over.
We're way over time.
We're always way over time. All right.
That's how we work.
We're out of here. Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.